GM, everybody. Happy Thursday. Man, Adam and I just got off a space with Sikasa and the Soyjack community. Migrations are still cooking. That's a pretty big space. There's like almost 100 people in there. So shout out to Sikasa as an awesome host. Migrations still continue to roll in as the unicorn migration comes to an end tomorrow. They're up like, I think almost 4x since they announced their migration a few weeks ago from 750K to I think like 2.5 million now at this point in time. Then we have SYFR also ends on Monday, and we'll be setting up a new pretty big migration on Tuesday to come. It's a pretty big meme coin. So it'll be exciting to see how that unfolds, and working on a few pretty big coins in the background. One coin has, I don't even know, 25 exchanges, things or something like that. So it's been quite an effort to get that one underway, but they're going to be moving forward. I believe so. I hope so. You know, people back out last second and whatnot, but we're going to continue to grind as we always do. Migrations continue, and the dashboard, public dashboard's getting closer. I think we're going to soft launch it next week, and then allow people to create permissionless migration so they don't have to go through us. They can just set them up. And that'll be a fun ecosystem because you'll probably see a lot of kind of vampire attacks and all kinds of different things until then.
Could get very interesting. I mean, we've talked about it now for what, 6 months, having the ability to publicly just launch or permissionlessly launch a migration could absolutely get kind of vamp attacks, or, hey, you know, sell off because you don't want to be a part of the migration. All sorts of crazy stuff can happen for sure. Which could be fun, could be a disaster. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out one way or the other. I mean, you can imagine, obviously it's like the easiest thing. Okay. Adam goes on there and says like, we're migrating Fartcoin, and people are like, what the fuck? First of all, who are you? But I don't know. We'll see. We're going to have some preventative kind of pieces in place, which should prevent a lot of it. I don't want to talk about it now because it's not fully built, but just things in there that should keep it pretty relatively safe. But you know, people are always going to try to attack these new systems, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, time to open these things up and really get, you know, migrations in the hands of the community, and not just, you know, use us as the buffer. So going to be interesting to see how crazy these things actually get. But if you're a community that wants to migrate for whatever reasons, you might have a shot at just doing it yourself and pushing it through. It's going to be interesting.
Speaking of migrations, Pump Fund today announced USDC pools. Although if you pay attention to the Pump Fund developer or developments Telegram channel, they announced this like 2 weeks ago. So we knew this was coming. I wonder how many people will ask to migrate to a USDC pool. Remember, that was a pretty popular thing with our Bonk Fund migrations when USD1 popped up. Everyone migrated over to USD1, but I haven't really heard too much about that since then.
I mean, for me, it's like, I don't know, man. I like the idea of, you know, trading in the native currency. I think getting away from this, it would be like, I don't know, trading NFTs back in the day was great for ETH because you had to use ETH, right? It's like trading stuff on USDC. I don't know. Plus, you lose any of the volatility of just Sol itself, right? Is all kind of taken away. I'm interested to see how it goes. I think they're probably going to get a bit of interest here because obviously Pump's pushing it. So teams are going to launch on it because they think, hey, we're going to get more attention. But I don't know. Long term, I think my gut says this is a loser. But you know, I don't understand. Yeah, I think it's a loser, and I'm not exactly sure why Pump would lean into it.
You think degens just don't want stable coins?
No, I think they actually prefer the volatility. The added layer of Sol on top, the additional volatility around that. Traders actually prefer that, in my view. Yeah, I don't know. You think different? You think they would prefer trading against stable coins?
I'm also indifferent. I mean, if you read kind of what they had said in their announcement, they're basically saying the reason they created USD is because the bonding quotes have become far less as the price of SOL dropped. So when they initially launched Pump Fund to pair or to bond, the token would start out at a 4K, even though that's phantom liquidity. I don't think a lot of people actually realize that. So it's like a fake 4K. And the token would bond at 58,000. But since SOL has dropped, the starting market caps are 2K and 30K. So they've pretty much got cut in half. And that obviously has a impact on the visual optics of launching a coin. But again, that's phantom. A lot of that's phantom liquidity. I learned that through Migrate Fund. And so that actually can't be extracted, but it looks visually good. So they're saying that when you launch with a USDC pool, it gets back to those numbers, and that it takes, I believe they said 10,000 or 12,000 in actual buys for the token to pair, which is what it was beforehand. And so they're saying it costs $12,000 to bond a USDC token compared to $7,200 for a SOL token, and it costs $1,600 or $1,700 to buy the first 30% of a USDC token compared to $1,000. So I guess reading through the language here, the context, they're basically saying that the reason why a lot of these Pump Fund coins are being are quote scam bundles is because it only takes $1,000 to bundle 30% of the supply, so it's severely less. Will another $700 really stop people from bundling the token? I don't really think so, but that's kind of the reasoning they've put out here, is that SOL is too volatile, and if you want less volatility, then you could go this way. I think stablecoins actually caters more towards, I guess, infrastructure projects more than meme coins. We've seen every meme coin team that we've talked with that has a USDC pool for Migrate Fund, they always say they regret it, right?
Yeah.
Which goes to kind of Adam's thesis. But on the other side, I don't really know any infrastructure coins or utility coins that use stablecoin pools either. I think everyone just kind of wants the number to go up and down heavily.
I mean,
right?
think about that logic. If you take the other extreme of it, the logic falls apart, because when SOL ran to $200 or whatever, people didn't stop launching meme coins, even though it was twice as expensive, right? In fact, meme coins ramped during that time. So I don't know. I think it's a little bit of they're kind of justifying it for a reason to do it, which I get it. And it might just be, hey, this is an experiment. Let's take a shot. We're going to get some more traction. People are obviously going to launch tokens against it, so we'll get, more action on the chain over the next, couple weeks. But do I think this has long-term legs? I'm thinking no. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, the optionality I think is always pretty interesting. Offer as many options as you can. No harm there. I think for stability practices, it makes more sense for Pump. They can forecast their fees a lot easier. Half their percentage of their take isn't getting cut in half when SOL gets cut in half. They're going to stay at a steady percent based on the USDC pair. I don't know. It's just interesting to see how it'll affect like the actual liquidity, right? Because if SOL doubles and then your token doubles, then your position's up like 4x. But what does that mean for your liquidity pool as well? That means, it probably cascades into a lot more sell pressure rather than just your token doubling or tripling, right?
And I know it's not a big deal to swap between them, but still, you do have to swap between them, right? It's like you still, oh shoot, now I got to convert my SOL to USDC or whatever. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It does separate to some extent the liquidity, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Pump is always just kind of on the frontier, trying new things. They're way ahead of the curve. They don't have anything to lose, so I say keep pushing it.
Alon actually comments on this, and he goes on to say that he realizes that Pump Fund has introduced a lot of different types of options, basically that they've been playing in the arena, experimenting in the arena. They launched the AI coin thing that seemed to be quite quite a failure. Mayhem Mode, right? That's not what it was called. Then they launched cashback coins. Then they launched charity coins, and now they're doing USDC stables. And he basically goes on to say he gets that it could be quite confusing the more features that you add, and that they're basically going to deprecate some of the coin options that ended up not gaining any type of adoption, so that they could go back to this some simplicity mode. You go down through like the comments, of course it's mostly haters, but they're basically like just eliminate everything.
Yeah, I mean, part of that's kind of like when Chris just said, you know, keep trying it. It's like part of me says no, that's actually the wrong thing to do for a company of this size with this much traction. Is like you should actually just completely lean into what actually works, rather than all these experiments. But you know, what do I know? And I'm not Elon, and you know, he made it work, so he might have the right, you know, strategy, which is you keep doing shit because you need another thing to be a winner. Right now, it's like they know what they can do and do well, but maybe that's not going to be enough, and maybe you have to get the next whatever the fuck it is, and nobody knows what it is, so they keep just trying all this random shit. I mean, it's like crazy, you know, the charity coins, like what the fuck, that actually kind of worked, but it's like gone, like, you know, it's nuts, man.
Yeah, I think that those could have worked if they supported them. They kind of like made like 3 posts about him the day that they launched, and then never talked about them again, which I thought was interesting because he had a post many years ago talking about how, oh, charity coins haven't made the front page of news yet. We got to pump them higher. And it was kind of interesting that he knew the thesis of how they could work, but then didn't really execute on their internal side. Another thing that I think about when I think of this USDC pairing is it could be the base of like a multi-chain strategy. And so you can kind of value these things equally across different chains as they start to roll out more cross-chain features and launches, rather than have them paired in Sol and ETH, and then they could have had a pretty strong partnership with USDC. So you don't know what incentives they got on the back end.
What about the streaming? What happened to Pump streaming? Is that
it's still there? I like it. Honestly, the best thing that Pump ever did was creator rewards. I think that was like the best. We saw this with migrations. Our first 16 to 18 migrations we did were actually to BonkFun and Radium. There was not a single person interested in migrating to Pump. Everyone wanted to get the fuck off Pump. Yep. Once they came with creator rewards, it's been a complete 180. Now it's like 90% of the projects want to migrate to Pump because it's creator rewards. We saw Bonk update we saw Bonk come back and try to support traders with like lower trading fees and thicker liquidity pools, and that doesn't seem like it's worked in any capacity. We actually made the joke that thicker liquidity pools just means that we're going to have more teams migrating 6 months from now after they realize that thick liquidity pools make it tough to move the price in some capacity. But you know, we'll see. I do like the idea of like the multi-chain strategy. I think that's an inevitability, but my question is, when they go over to EVM, because the infrastructure is different and you can't stack transactions in the same way that you can on Solana, and you have to do more of the nonce type setup, which is like numbered transactions rather than stacking them all in one. I wonder how the bonding curve and all that stuff will work. But you know, if there's a will, there's a way. Ratoshi says, G Emblem, good to see you. Verdandi, hi Verdandi, good to see you. Congrats on the new collection and rebranding. Hope to see you more on stream so we could hang out and get after it. Some news items starting next week. I think we're actually going to move the spaces to Adam and my personal account from video and audio. And we're going to put a lot of focus on the Emblem Vault account for Emblem Terminal, which is trade and build. I'll actually give you guys a teaser of what I've been building. We've been going really hard on the build product, and we want to use the Emblem Vault account as like a high signal account, where somebody could come in and they'll see all the new chains and features and things, as well as highlighting all of the projects who are doing build. Bratoshi, Verdandi, 2 of those people I've seen. Or Bratoshi, I've seen his product. Verdandi, I know, wants to use it as well. And we have maybe 5 to 10 people who are kind of testing out and building things So we do want to highlight those people on the Emblem Vault account, as it is the OG account that's been around for 10 years with the biggest audience. So we're going to be putting a lot of focus there as Emblem Build comes into fruition. Some UI updates that we still need to do, and there's still some other technicalities, but the stuff works. Like here, I'll show you this. I built this in literally 2 days. It's actually drew inspiration from Satoshi Dice, which I don't know if anyone remembers. Satoshi Dice was the first ever crypto app that sold, which was Eric Voorhees. He sold Satoshi Dice in, I don't know, 2011, 2012, something like that, for like 150,000 Bitcoin. Now he's also the founder of Venice, which VVV, which is one of the tokens that has done really well in this bear market. But I wanted to create, it's called emblem.bet, and I'm going to turn it into some fun stuff. This is demo mode. I actually do have it on DevNet, but it's on my other computer. It's actually building right now, so you can't kind of see the build side of this. But basically, you just come in here and you can spin, right? You could do like 10 spins, and you could preload them. And it's basically like a number higher or number lower kind of situation here, right? So the wheel spins, and you can see here it says roll higher than a 78 or 20, roll higher than a 28. And you get kind of the wins and losses. It still needs a little bit of editing. And I don't think I've pushed like the last update to the site itself. But it's pretty fun. I'm not going to lie. I think what I'm going to do with this token or with this game is use it just for the emblem token. So think of it as like a betting app or game of chance with the emblem token, just giving people things for people to do, and use stuff with the emblem token, which actually has been doing pretty well. There's been a few accumulators on the emblem token. It's now up to almost 4.5 million kind of coming out. So highest price point in almost a month. It seems like the sell pressure is finally subsided from Emblem, and now the buying pressure is beginning. So pretty good. What do you guys think of Emblem Build? First, I'll start with Adam, who has built something already with Emblem Build, who also had no dev experience. Bratoshi says that looks dope as hell. Yeah, I'm excited, right? So it's for me right now, it's a bear market. As we've been talking about Alon, right, with Pump, you want to experiment in the bear market. This is the time to do different things, see what sticks, because when the price is going up, attention's high, you don't want to change too many things. You don't want to change what's working. You want to make sure that you can continue with what things are working, but experimental time is pretty much over. So this came out pretty good. Again, this is literally, I just started this on Monday. So it was 3 days ago, and it's come out pretty good. And this is on Solana DevNet already. This one, it says demo, but I had to have Solana DevNet on my actual other computer that I've been doing the building with.
I like to release stuff directly to mainnet. I don't like to do the I'm old school like that, you know. Fuck the DevNet shit. I like fucking go straight to mainnet and have people try and hack your shit. Yeah, I love it, man. It is fun and incredible that this is even possible, right?
And I pinned the video to the top for those that are on the spaces who want to take a look and see. We built this. Basically what Emblem Build is, sorry, Adam, to cut you off. Basically what Emblem Build is, if you go to emblemvault.ai, we basically over the last 1.5 years or 2 years, we've built our own kind of Claude code, or you say Claude desktop, and it has a trading experience, which you could see here, right? So trading experience, but also has a build experience. So if you see the tabs at the top, and build is basically an application builder. So think of Claude Code for crypto. And this is for Solana apps. We have a few other chains, but we're going to focus on Solana. Most of the AI stuff has been on Base this entire time, but luckily for us, we have a gigantic community on Solana through Migrate Fun. And so I think if teams or users who have no dev experience want to build a Solana app for their community, right? If they want to build an app for Bobo, for betting, or you want to create a soy app for SoyJack, you basically would just come here to the Emblem terminal and build it. And Adam and I and Chris have been testing it, just seeing what is entirely possible to do. And I basically create a Satoshi Dice game, but I turned it more into like a slot machine for just testing purposes. And I'll probably release this next week. At some point, I'm gonna put some work into it over the weekend to get it on the mainnet and probably partner with some different teams. But it's a lot of fun. And sorry, Adam, go back.
No, I was just saying, like, it's the kind of thing that for the first time ever, really, people in crypto who see something occurring and want to jump on like a bandwagon in a unique, interesting way can do it, right? And I did it with the RPow2 stuff that happened. Tons of traction, right? Shit broke, you know, bots attacking, the works, like you're thrown into the mix, but you can get like incredible attention. And like, I don't know what you guys pointed out, Chris pointed out maybe on the last show about Phoenix trade, right? Which, you know, Tolly's been tweeting about, everybody's fucking tweeting about this Phoenix trade. And I was like, shit, man. I mean, yesterday in like 15 minutes, I spun up this thing that lets me basically, I call it clicking buttons, because that's what Tolly said. Hey, you need to be clicking buttons on Phoenix Trade. I built this thing that basically lets me log into my Phoenix Trade account, and it does like what we talked about, that delta neutral strategy. It creates the neutral strategy and it executes the data neutral, you know, whatever the fuck that is. I don't even know how to do it, right? But it created it for me, and it's like that. And I'm like, fuck, should I release this on the timeline? Like, but you can insert yourself into these conversations by building these tiny little tools and stuff, which is insane. Like, you can get, I mean, I know if I fucking release this thing, first of all, I'll probably get a lot of shit for it because it's basically farming Phoenix Trade. But at the same time, it's clicking buttons on Phoenix Trade, right? And it's like, I just think for people who have ideas or active on the timeline and up until like this month could never do something interesting like this. Like, this is wildly interesting stuff where creative people like Verdandi or whoever can come in and actually create things and insert themselves in the timeline and into crypto like never, ever, ever before. It was basically impossible. You had to have a team to do it before. And now you can do it. It's fucking exciting as shit.
Yeah, it's going to be a banger. I think, you know, everyone has that idea that they said, oh, if I only had 100K that, you know, to deploy this app, you know, I could be the next Zuckerberg, or I could be the next Elon, or the next great crypto entrepreneur. And, you know, we just really break down all those barriers and just allow anyone with access to an internet connection to build, you know, a great application. And so you might, you know, your first iteration might not be, you know, its best version, obviously, but it's enough to get it through the door to see if it has any traction, to see if you want to continue building it out. And, you know, we're all in crypto. There's so many passionate people here. There's so many people that love the industry and, you know, how it can really change the world in so many different ways. But at the same time, there's not much to do with your crypto. It's still a very nascent and immature industry in so many ways that doesn't have a ton of applications. And not everyone's a trader. Not everyone's a gambler. You know, there are builders out there, and there are entrepreneurs out there that really want the chance to be able to build the next great application and try and make their name and reputation by building the next great product, rather than just flipping meme coins or, you know, gambling crypto on stake.com or something like that. So it's really a new era in terms of a fully new lane that you can make huge amounts of money by not just, you know, deploying tokens or deving tokens or trading tokens, but by building applications that can use tokens. And so I think just that alone in itself is such a big step forward for the entire industry.
Yeah, you can go an Emblem terminal, you can pay in Emblem token. You don't have to pay in just Solana, right? So the subscriptions will be $50. We'll get you the app builder, $50 a month, right? So you could pay $50 in Emblem token, go build your app, and you'll eventually be able to launch your own token on it as well. So there will be like an Emblem launchpad. I think some people are maybe not prepared for that, because we've been building Migrate Fund now for over a year. We've been building in the space for 10 years. We've never had a launchpad, but we're very seasoned in understanding how that stuff works. And we've been talking with the different launchpads behind the scenes on, you know, which place to go to. Maybe changes need to happen, but let's say the app that I just showed you, right, Emblem.bet, it's successful. You can launch your own token against it, and now you're basically a crypto entrepreneur, right? Obviously, there's going to be some trial periods with that. people launching multiple tokens, different apps, right? Obviously, security is a huge component to that now, right? There seems to be a new crypto hack literally every day, people using AI. So we've slowed down the emblem build slightly to kind of prepare for this onslaught of hacks that have happened recently. But this is getting pretty close to being done. And you can build anything from, again, Solana meme coin app, ETH NFT applications. It's also on Base and BNB. You could do multi-chain, right? Because it's built on top of Emblem Vault. So it can really support any blockchain that you would like. And it also has Emblem Vault tech. So if you want to use Rare Pepe, if you want to create some sort of Rare Pepe game, there's about, I think, 5 or 10 apps that people have built. Some things, obviously, I just built the Satoshi Dice on Solana. Adam built a farming system for Phoenix Trade on Solana. He also built an RPow2 exchange. I believe Kane is built a Emblem Vault Mint and Unvault multi-tool. I know Bratoshi's built something with Vaultmates. I don't want to say too much about that. There's been a few people building gaming, AI gaming stuff. Somebody built AI chess, where two AIs play chess and you could bet on them with stablecoins. Somebody did the same thing with CSGO, and somebody also did the same thing with Doom. So basically two AIs playing Doom, and you could basically bet on the winner. So really the spectrum on what can be built with an app builder, especially with Emblem Vault, it's not just web apps. It can also be, smart contracts. So smart contract based app versus a web-based app. There's two differences, some with a little bit more complexities, but we're going to continue to grow it out and then put some of this stuff out in the wild, which is quite exciting. So look for that Emblem build. I think a lot of people are getting excited because Emblem token has been up quite big since we started teasing some of the stuff this week. So make sure you get yourself some Emblem token that we actually just migrated ourselves. So the final home of the Emblem token is here. It's also trading on Mexi and a few other exchanges. It's been quite a long journey itself. Pretty bad sell pressure in the beginning, dude. People were wrecking the chart. That was crazy. But seems to be much better. And it's always funny because when the price is down, nobody's active in the chat. Instantly, once the price goes up, everyone's all of a sudden comes right back into the conversation.
It's nothing like green candles, man. It's the best.
Green candles. Speaking of NFTs, one of the bright spots of NFTs has been TokenWorks. They're the ones who launched all of the strategies. So like Punk strategy. We did an experiment with Nakamoto strategy, which was pretty fun. And then Adam ended up doing a different project, which was, I forget what it was called. And then he just launched a third project in the last 8 months that was called 10,000 tokens, I believe, where it's like each NFT has its own fungible token inside that I think is bought and burned or something like that when the NFT is purchased. I don't know. It's kind of hard to follow because he's so creative with the ways that he does these like experimental things. Also just added the ability to deploy updates through socials. So it seems like socials are becoming popular again. Banker, obviously, I don't know if they were actually the first, but they're really the first to commercialize the idea of trading on the timeline or doing on-chain transactions on the timeline. I do remember people tried to do this like many years ago with like Counterparty and stuff and Dogecoin, right? There was like, wasn't there like Dogecoin tipping on the timeline?
For sure.
Right. We launched Emblem Agent. So at Emblem Agent, you can also trade and do everything inside the Emblem terminal. Maybe you'll be able to build some stuff through Emblem Agent. And it looks like TokenWorks is getting on it. I saw that Clinker, you could deploy tokens. I saw that Printer now launched that you can deploy tokens on the timeline. Is Twitter, or I guess X, is X just the best place to perform on-chain transactions now? It's the simplified metaverse, I guess.
Yeah, it seems so. I mean, it's like the town hall. It's the global town hall Every kind of global town center needs, banking infrastructure and commerce and everything like that. They're obviously moving towards that with like their banking licenses that they've been accumulating and going towards like X Money and XPay. So, I mean, it's difficult to get people to get directly towards your app, but if you bring your app directly towards people, you see a lot more people using it and kind of getting a taste of what it can do. So, nothing to lose here for the Emblem agent. It's providing a ton of high quality information on the timeline. And the full stack is only going to get better from here. It'll be cool to see what people can try and build with like a couple posts, couple tweets.
The ecosystem continues to grow. This just came across my timeline. Another potential migration squeeze, SYFR, is up 70% in the last 48 hours and has a lot of fresh air over the next few days while the migration comes to end with 71% migrated. So I wonder if we'll see some of that fresh air come into play. So shall be interesting. Shout out to those teams. In breaking news, potentially, apparently there's a final draft for the US-Iran agreement. This was shared by Iran's national TV, which is kind of crazy because it's mostly been the Americans who are manipulating the markets with, I don't know if you guys saw this. I think it was like New York Times or like one of the US publications. They got in trouble or they got caught profiting. It was like $1 billion for leaking fake news, but then opening up a long or short.
Wait,
before
no,
they posted
I missed
that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was like earlier this week or last week I had seen something like that. So
Crazy.
it's crazy that warfare is now just so heavily tied to economics. And it's not just the US stock market, it's the world stock market. But I think a lot of this is actually being exacerbated because of crypto, because of obviously Hyperliquid is up, I think like 100% in a week or so. Hyperliquid's really enabled the rest of the global markets to participate in the US markets. And this is maybe the first war ever where that's really, or operation, I guess, if you take Trump's terms, to where the whole entire world can play in the financial markets and manipulate them and bend it at its will. Chris, what's your take on Hyperliquid over the last, I guess, few weeks? Obviously, we talked about them as bringing stocks on chain and perps, but now they're just being a facilitator for the world to participate in what has been mostly closed markets to everybody.
That's the promise of crypto, right? Democratizing financial infrastructure to anyone with an internet connection. So, I mean, good to see what, again, its biggest kind of benefit for the longest time was that it was kind of no KYC. And so anyone can kind of get on the platform. And I know that probably most of the traders and volume is coming from Americans, and it's, illegal to trade on Hyperliquid in America. So what does it mean when courts kind of ruled that they have to clamp down on KYC? That's usually when like a new perps DEX kind of pops up and does the same route again. That's how BitMEX kind of gained a bunch of traction. They had no KYC, and then the SEC clamped down on them. And then FTX, very similar. Just hop in with a VPN, go ahead and trade instantly. Obviously, they had some other issues on the back end, and then so it'll be interesting to see what the volumes look like when it cramps down. But the flywheel that they have is based on how much trading volume they get. That's how much trading, that propels their trading fees, which propels their token buybacks. I think like 95% of their fees go to token buybacks. So if you cut out 95% of their volume or 90% or 80%, whatever is American based, that gets cut off potentially, what does that mean for the token? What does that mean for the flywheel that they have going? I mean, I don't know. It's hard to fade a team like that, but I don't know. Once I see these things getting so much traction and just like an absolutely, consensus trade of it being unstoppable, it's kind of when you see the roadblocks kind of stacking up ahead.
You de-lever if you had a hype position right now. Is your thing? Yeah, I've seen that. I think you're of the same mind. Who did I see? Like Beanie was like, when everything is going great like this, and everybody on the timeline is like, this is a no-brainer. That's when you got to start. It can still run, right, and may double or triple from here even, or maybe more, who knows. But yeah, you get I didn't realize. So you have to, US citizens aren't supposed to be able to trade on Hyperliquid. That's funny. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
No, which is crazy, right? I mean, it's like if they have real volume, it's probably 60% US based, right? It's wild that that's the way that is. Interesting, man. I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's like just because of that, right? It's that you're not supposed to or not allowed to trade on it. Give it like an edge, right? The moment it actually became or becomes legal or whatever, it loses like this, power. And I think actually Beanie had probably had the best take on it I saw, which was just like these things tend to get eaten up at some point in time. And you've pointed that out too, Chris, right? I don't know how many, this is the fourth or fifth different kind of perps play. It's been chewed up and all of them seem to be invincible. And here we are. So this is the next one. Who knows? Maybe it isn't though. People are already saying it's better than Solana and shit. I'm just like, really? Wow. I don't know, man. Maybe.
Totally. I mean, if I was those founders, I'd be looking for an exit. I'd be looking to sell to BlackRock. I'd be looking to sell to Citadel or whoever wants to buy it.
Yeah,
Wash
interesting.
their hands. They can get through the regulatory clarity, no problem. Is Hyperliquid going to be able to? Maybe. I'm not sure, but I know that BlackRock or Citadel or Point72 or some of these bigger institutional trading firms can get through way easier.
What's your take on the grave dancing on Solana right now? It seems like people are not only just anointing hype, they're consistently shitting on Toli for being just like an active founder. Although I don't agree with some of the foundation's takes on just bashing hype, but Solana can't seem to shake the meme coin kind of, I guess you would say, adoption. But a lot of people are saying now that Solana is turning into what ETH was last cycle. And you were obviously bullish on Solana in 2021. You have a post of buying Solana $8 or whatever it was when it dropped. What's the state of Solana now?
You can't win in these markets. It's a distributed ledger. You can't choose what your winning category is going to be. You can't choose what your winning application is going to be. You just hope that something is going to win. Vitalik gets completely roasted for being a hands-off founder, and then Toli gets roasted for being a hands-on founder. So what's the right answer? Is just to continue building. And I don't think Solana is stopping building anytime soon. I don't see people launching tokens on Hyperliquid. I don't see people launching tokens on Ethereum. We're building applications, and we had a meeting yesterday that said we need to be focused on Solana because that's where all the activity is. I think that everyone in the industry that's actually building anything realizes that that's the fact and that there's really not a second best anywhere near in sight. How many people, every single chain would spend any amount of their treasury to be in the position that Solana is in. So I think it's their race to lose, and I don't think anyone else is even close.
It is the chain of apps. It's not something that it's hard to deny that at this point in time. I mean, Base is really going for, I guess, the AI kind of sector, and they've done pretty well, but it's still so infinitely small. It feels like comparative to Solana. So maybe Base is trying to be the fifth chain. What about the take on Ethereum? I saw the Bankless guys have officially abandoned Ethereum. I saw also too, one of the co-stars, I don't know which one, is basically retiring and basically becoming backseat. I think it's the older one. What's his name? I forget what his name is. Is David or the other one?
Ryan and David.
Ryan. Yeah, Ryan's basically taking backseat, and now it's basically David's show as he explores other chains or something like that. So I don't really listen to Bankless anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if that was. I mean, do you think that's real, or do you think that was?
It's real. It's even pretty real.
Okay, I didn't know.
It says they sold.
David would be the one to quit before Ryan, so that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, the younger one is the one who's basically like leading the show now. Gotcha. The other one's like effectively retiring. They sold all their Ethereum, I guess, as well. Like Bankless Ventures did, the David had, and then Ryan's basically taking kind of the backseat.
Not that they had any type of significant holding percentage in terms of overall outstanding supply, but I don't know. I say it all the time. Like the more people that sell, the less people there is to still sell. Like how many times have you seen that look on chain post that says like early 2016 Ethereum ICO wallet just woke up and sold $130 million of Ethereum? Well, how many of those are left? I don't know. It's less than it was like 2 weeks ago. I know that's a fact. And my bull case for Ethereum is just that it's the most distributed chain that's reached escape velocity, and that at the end of the day, it's just technology. They move from proof of work to proof of stake. What can they move to next? What is AI going to enable for them to kind of improve and scale better with cheaper fees and higher throughput, and who's going to be leading the charge, and how many people hold ETH and know about ETH compared to Solana or Cardano or XRP or whatever it might be. And so I just think that some of these things, we don't talk about it anymore, but they're Lindy. Nothing's reached Lindy, the Lindy effect, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Even Solana is not really fully in that conversation. And like, I don't know, if you're a traditional finance guy, you're looking for something that is actually more decentralized and actually really unstoppable. And I think at this point, nothing is going to be able to stop Ethereum over the long term.
Really hard to bet against those network effects. I mean, I'm holding on to my ETH. The thesis is the same as it was in 2021.
It's probably stronger, in my opinion. It's funny that Adam, a Bitcoiner, has held stronger than the Bankless guys. That I mean, like no one.
Part of it is I don't know where my wallets are, but other than that, it's perfect, right? Yeah, it's part of the thing is like just making it so difficult, that you can't even access it. That's part of my strategy, but the thesis is the idea that these network effects, you can literally spend $1 billion and you're never going to get to that sort of network effect of first awareness, attention, people knowing about the chains. I mean, whatever, I don't know, Mega ETH or all these ones, literally billions of dollars, and they got no traction. They got no users. They got no developers. We know how hard it is. It is fucking darn near impossible. And it's just really difficult to beat that. And Solana did a great job. And that's why I'm holding on to I'm not selling any Solana either. Because we just know how hard that is. That shit is really fucking hard. And that Solana, went down, was almost dead, and roared back, says a lot. And the users are all on Solana. As far as I see it, users are all on Solana. Network's effects are super solid. And, I just hate to give up those bags. I mean, I understand if you're going to give up the bags and say, well, look, the base chains aren't going to really rip anymore, and you want out and put your money into other things, totally get it. But for me, it's like I want to hold these base assets because I have a feeling, just a feeling, it might be wrong, but I have a feeling that the value will accrue to them in the next 5 to 10 years. I still have that feeling. Could be wrong, but I feel like that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that their best narrative is just go back to ETH as money and just use it as a base layer money, a digital programmable money. You think of who you would trade places with in the industry. Most people would probably be like Sailor, get 5 or 7% of the Bitcoin supply. Bitcoin isn't what it set out to do, but it's still a great base layer digital money, sovereign money that's completely distributed and not controlled by anyone. And then you look at Ethereum. The Ethereum Foundation doesn't own much Ethereum anymore. No one really controls the stake. If I couldn't trade places with Sailor and his stack, I'd probably trade places with Tom Lee. Like that's what I would be trying to do. If I had billions of dollars at my disposal, I would be trying to accumulate as much Ethereum as I could. I'd rather accumulate Ethereum at this stage because there's less people that would dump on me and the supply risk is much different than something like Solana or Cardano or something like that. So I don't know. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum, they've always been in a league of their own. I think that trend continues indefinitely. And I would definitely trade stacks with Tom Lee.
I saw Moon Overlord, who's one of the crypto OGs, and he's generally pretty right on a lot of this stuff. He was saying that Ethereum should finally just basically call L2s a dead experiment, obsolete, basically just put the nail in the coffin and abandon the idea. Vitalik kind of did it. He didn't do it fully, but then he said ETH needs to basically just go all in on NFTs, which is what they should have done last cycle. Collectibles, that's basically ETH's biggest use case, has been NFTs. That was the most traction they ever had, was in 2021. ETH, I saw today, like one of the new, I guess it's not really new, but what Wall Street is adopting is valuing chains as revenue generating chains. Ethereum's not really a revenue generating chain right now. But there was a point in 2021 where they generated $2 billion in 1 month. And that was from NFT trading volume. That's when we were paying like $500 gas to trade NFTs. I remember when I was buying Mooncats, it was literally like $100 per transaction. And that wasn't even like near the peak. Remember, like other side people were paying like $5,000 for a transaction. So going on all in on NFTs and collectibles, and I think there was like a few other things. Basically scrapped the Ethereum Foundation, although I saw like half of the foundation already left, and then scale the L1 and just go kind of all in on that. I know Vitalik said that he wanted to replace EVM with something that's called RSICV, which is supposed to be faster than Solana or SVM. But of course, Vitalik, he said it's 5 years away. So I mean, it's probably 10 years away at that point in time. But honestly, if you're like a Wall Street investor, 5 years is like not really that long for you, right? You're usually holding these things for like 10, 20 years at a point. Like if you held Amazon for 20 years, you're probably like worth deca millions of dollars, no matter what point you bought at, right? Or even hundreds of millions of dollars. And same with Apple. Like you ever see the charts where it's like, if you bought Apple in early 2000, you're up like 5,000x or something like that. Obviously, you could do that with like meme coins and stuff, but in the stock market, you can essentially do it with infinite size, which is completely different than buying a meme coin and going up 100,000x on $10 or whatever it is. And you can't even
like anybody. I mean, even with that Apple purchases, that we talk about, or Amazon, it's the non-consensus trade, right? You're buying Apple when they think Apple's going to zero. Right. And it's really fucking hard to do. Right. But that's when the real money's made. And it was made last cycle with Solana at $9. And, maybe it's made on Ethereum this cycle when it goes back to fucking $1,200 or whatever it drops to. These are you have to find trades. You have to, if you want to make real money, you have to buy it when nobody fucking wants it. And that's really fucking hard to do. But take little shots here and there. Maybe you get lucky once in a while.
It looks like SoyJack is now up 20% since our migration call with them. I mean, still, right. It's probably like $10,000 or something like that in volume, but the numbers don't lie. It is kind of crazy how we've come full circle with migrations, where each migration announcement is now like a bullish catalyst. And then you have the migration squeeze, which is also a bullish catalyst. So you have like two of them. Now you have people who are buying the announcement, and then you have people who are buying the squeeze. So you're basically buying, if you're a speculator, you're basically buying that people are going to like the migration, right? For whatever the reasons are. Obviously, it has to go to the right direction, has to be the right team. It's not every single one. But then you can also speculate on the amount of participation. We know that generally projects that have a 50% participation or higher generally get some sort of squeeze at the end. Just showed SYFR is up 70% in 48 hours. A unicorn that ends tomorrow is up like 400 or 500% since they started. SoyJack right up on the pre-announcement, right? They're front running the announcement. And some of these larger teams that we've talked with are also kind of preparing for that type of stuff. So what do you guys think changed over the last, I guess maybe 6 months or so, where it's just become now accepted that the migrations are bullish, but it's not just that, it's people are now getting excited on even the idea of migrating their project to a new ecosystem.
I mean, it's just like what we've been talking about the whole time. The awareness first, squeeze of supply. There's just a lot of things that, like, most of these tokens are fucking dead, right? It's like nobody's even around. There is no community. There's basically two dudes in a Telegram chat, right? So people are just looking for anything, and this is a thing, right? And so yeah, it's just, I mean, man, if the market really comes back, fucking because these are gonna rip all over the place, man. Migrations every day, like, just guaranteed. So this is bear market. This is bear market. These are doing this, right? So God help us in bull market. Fuck, Jake. Get ready, man. Get the caffeine ready, bro, because this is like gonna be never ending, right? It's like it's a perfect product, man. It's such a perfect product.
Yeah, I mean, no one really loses. Everyone kind of wins. Like, these tokens are dead on arrival. It's an attention game, and they don't have any attention any longer. Maybe their community is there just posting every day, but it's not moving the needle. They're just spinning their wheels. So, your biggest attention event that you'll ever have is your initial launch. Your second biggest is your relaunch through a migration. And, if, like I said, a lot of the easy money in crypto is over. So if you can CTO a major meme and actually bag work it to hundreds of millions of dollars after you migrate it, and you have a solid percentage of the supply, and you're earning creator royalties, and your treasury is pretty thick, and your community is backing you. I mean, that's another way to kind of really not guarantee yourself to, you know, make a pretty sizable bag, but to have a solid chance at it, right? Rather than bag working with, you know, 1% of the supply, no creator rewards, and no attention. So it's perfect for the state of the market. You know, everything's beaten down. There's plenty of A-list or S-tier memes that have the chance of becoming one of the greats, and you know, you just need the solid team behind it that's backing it, that's going to make it happen.
It seems like Bobo's definitely going to be one of those. I mean, we've had a lot of successful migrations. I would say Bobo's probably been the most sustained migration. It's going on over 3 weeks since the migration happened, and the price is still going up, right? Generally, you see like some sort of sell-off, but people are still buying it. Pump Fund is now supporting Bobo. Bobo's obviously been a meme that's been around. What was it created, like 2018 or 17? Rec made it or something like that. And I think a lot of people are looking. I think that's what it is people are looking at it and saying, "Oh shit!" Like, not only did they continue the grind of Bobo and the attention, but they also moved from a chain. They moved literally from Ethereum to Solana in a completely new environment, right? How many people? I think there's now close to like 3,000 people who have actually like interacted with the migration itself. At least half of those people had never even been on Solana before. There are people who are trying to connect to the site with like Uniswap wallet. It's like, what the fuck? There's some wallets that people are connecting to the site with. I'd literally never even heard of these wallets. It's like, what the fuck is that? People didn't know that you needed gas on Solana to claim the token, or on ETH, right? It's like these, he brought, like Bobo brought people from one ecosystem to another and then got adopted. So, you know, will we see more cross-chain migrations? Maybe.
Yes.
I think so. I think once it continues,
Yep.
more cross. I like to see like projects from BNB come over to Solana. I think would be a good opportunity. There's like a lot of similar kind of degen culture where Base is a little bit more of like a professional type culture, I guess. It's more kind of straightforward. Like people on Base, it feels like people on Base don't really party or drink or like degen at all, right? They're just kind of VC buttoned up tie kind of. That's like the Coinbase culture itself.
Cringe culture, bro. Yeah.
Cringe culture. Yeah. So, you know, it's going to be an exciting time as the bull market comes back. The market is definitely liking the Iran announcement. It's up 1%. Bitcoin's up 1% in the last hour or so. It's almost back to 78K. We have Emblem is almost up to 4.5 million. So now it's above where the pre-migration price was. I think it ended at 4.4 on April 14th. So it took about, what is that, 5 weeks, 6 weeks for it to come back, for that sell-off. A lot of that coming from like through Mexi. But for Migrate Fund, we have a lot of things still to add. We're actually getting a lot of, and I'll kind of wrap it up here. We've had a decent amount of market makers reach out about trying to get plugged into that for projects. Exchanges are now basically full on with us. I think the one thing that Migrate Fund proved is that whatever happens on chain is the driver for whatever happens off chain. And basically, we wrecked so many of these exchanges so many times through these tokens that they're just like, God, please do not let that happen again, or else I might get fired from my job. So they're all fully on board now. And just step by step, it just becomes adopted. I think still at the end of the day, one of the hardest things to do is get fucking verified on RugCheck and like some of these token verification things. If we could ever crack the token verification thing, that's probably a $1 billion business within itself. Maybe that'll be when Migrate Fund is large and in charge. We'll put
just buy RugCheck. Yeah, man. That's the way.
Yeah, you make it's kind of crazy that in order to not be a rug, you have to pay, which is kind of funny, right? Isn't that kind of counterintuitive?
It's literally retarded, man. It's like, literally, like it's crazy town. It's like, you know, it's like being listed on exchanges. Oh, you're listed on exchanges. You're safe. No, you're not, bro. because the listings on exchanges are only done by teams who bundled the entire fucking token supply. Man, it's so fucked up. Crypto, man. Crypto.
Welcome to crypto. I appreciate everyone who joined us. Saw a bunch of new faces on the spaces, so that was kind of nice. Feel free to follow the accounts. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us. Always great to see you, Verdandi and Bratoshi, and everyone else who tuned in on the live stream. Market comes back, we could be in a very good position. Until then, everyone have a fun and safe Thursday and weekend. We'll see you guys next week.
Later, guys.